better place.
And welcome to our YouTube channel. We are the Nigerian Women in Diaspora Leadership Forum. We advocate gender equity, justice, fairness, social justice and equity for all. We promote causes and campaigns which advocates the safety of children in our world, inclusion and the advancement of women in leadership and politics.
We are against laws, traditions, religious and cultural practices which advocate, support or promote any marriage of children to anyone, no matter their status in society, because
early child marriage is child abuse. It is therefore not about anyone's religion,
Culture,
tradition,
custom.
nature.
It is about the welfare of the girl child and well-being of society. Every healthy society advocates social inclusion, not exclusion. Therefore, the girl child deserves a chance. The fight against early marriage is therefore
My cause, your cause,
our cause.
So let us join hands to promote and protect the welfare of the girl child, along with the well-being of society, and together create a safer, healthier, better, and equal society for all, regardless of gender or status.
Be at our conference on this crucial.
go away feeling jolly. That is not what we want to do. And I've got this pictorial, which I hope I've got about 25 copies that I wanted to, I plan to give out to people. And it's about that, about when you live here today, that is not about coming to listen to some of us. It is about safeguarding, and it's meant for all of us. That this is, I put it in the middle, is tackling early child marriage and all the stakeholders, things you can do to actually get involved in the campaign, in raising the awareness in our schools, as you mentioned, with our policymakers, politicians, with our parents, and with the young people themselves, because most of these things happen because of lack of self-esteem, because sorry, I forgot your name. Early child marriage, it still happens. So it isn't about when that aspect is deleted from our constitution, that will not be the end of it. The campaign, the awareness need to go on. The reasons, I know my Honorable Doctor talked about the reasons for some of the causes of early child marriage. From established research and extensive reading materials suggest that early marriage is due to various factors, including, among others, the search for economic survival, protection of young girls, quote unquote. Some parents believe they're protecting their girls. Peer group and family pressure, controlling female behavior and sexuality. Someone is mentioned that. Wars and civil conflict in some areas. And finally, cultural and religious belief. Talking about consequences of early child marriage. Early marriage contributes to a series of negative consequences, both for young girls and the society in which they live. Early marriage has profound physical, intellectual, psychological, and emotional impacts, cutting off educational and employment opportunities and chances of personal growth. Early child marriage is a violation of girls' human rights, as it deprives her from freedom, opportunity for personal development, and other rights. It is a barrier to girls' education as young girls drop out from schools to get married, which impacts negatively on the community as a whole and on the well-being of future generations. My key points in regards to the consequences, I'll quickly go through them. as an image consultant and advise people when you are talking to people. You can only get attention of people for between 15 and 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, people are not listening. You're just talking to yourself. And I'll be sure that this doesn't go over 15 minutes. Throughout the world, marriage is regarded as a moment of celebration and a milestone in adult life. We all know that. Many of us have celebrated our own marriage and marriage of our children. But to these young girls, marriage is sadly enough is not a celebration for them. All too often, the imposition of a married partner upon a child of 12, 13, 14, getting married to a 40-year-old, there's nothing to celebrate about it. The girls are not happy. All these young girls, they're robbed of their youth and required to take on roles which they're not physically prepared for. A 12-year-old girl cannot make a life-changing decision. Getting married is a life-changing decision. I remember when I was 12 years old, all I can think about is just have fun with my friends, go to school. That's as far as it goes. I wasn't capable of becoming a wife, talk less of becoming a mother. In terms of education and social inclusion, the universal right to education has been affirmed by the world government for more than 50 years, most recently by the Millennium Development Goals, adopted by the 191 members State of the United Nations in 2000. However, some 150 million children, among them 62 million girls, are still denied the right to education. Majority of these girls were denied through early child marriage. The schools is the most important institution. If you all remember as a young girl in Nigeria, I went to a boarding school. Some of my friends back then, over 30 years ago, up till now, we're still friends. These young girls are denied of that socialization in schools. More years of schooling have been associated with many positive outcomes, including later ages of marriage, lower fertility, and healthier and better educated children and economic development. However, early marriage inevitably denies children of school age the right to education. They need for their personal development, for their preparation for adulthood, their effective contribution to the future well-being of their family, their society. Education is not all about livelihood and technical skills. Yes, we want to be doctors. Yes, we want to be lawyers. Yes, we want to become a journalist, nurses, bankers. But more importantly, it provides social connectedness or aptitude, which enable one to access key resources to alleviate poverty. By interacting with others, individuals acquire social skills and personal capabilities. We have been able to make that decision. We've been able to get involved in this campaign, but most of these children, young people, they don't have that at the head of many societies. Regardless of whether they're working or not, mothers are very influential in their children's life. According to the Department for International Development in 2005, educating girls is one of the most important investments that a country can make in its own. education has a profound effect on girls' and women's ability to claim other rights and achieve status in society. We talk about having a voice. We talk about equality. Those are the grounding that gives you that voice, that makes you stand tall in the society. To say, yes, we are equal. Yes, I am a woman, you're a man. But we can both perform. Having an education can make enormous difference to women's chances of finding well-paid job and raising a healthier, successful family. Sorry, I keep forgetting. I need to put this very close to my lips for you to hear. Educated women are likely to have a say in decision-making regarding the size of their families and the spacing of their children. They're also more likely to be informed and knowledgeable. That's why we're here today. About sociopolitics does not have to mean that a girl or a boy, in some cases, that education finishes. In most African settings, in a place like Nigeria, when this happens, what you find is the spouses, husbands of young wives, older men, they want this young bride to stay at home, follow tradition, undertake household and childcare duties. A girl may be unable to go against her husband's wishes, which that's what happened in most cases, or refuse, or the family might refuse to invest in sending, she's already a wife, back to school. And there are some schools in Nigeria that they've got the policies where you've got children, when you are pregnant, you cannot come back to school. Those are all the barriers for early child marriage in terms of education. In terms of developmental challenge, a nation needs to have an all-round skills, not just men. We all talk about inequality. And what happened in most African, is not just in African, even here where we are, what happened in most African states, or what happened in the past that is making women to lag behind, was because women are not given that skills in terms of education to attain like their men counterpart. So when they're working together, the men have higher skills, better skills than them. So there, if you remember, even in this country, the women are the administrator, they're the clerk, while the men take on the role of chief executives. That's what happened in the past. But thank goodness, now that women realize that we need to be like our men, we're all there, having our degrees like our men. But for young girls in early marriage, this doesn't happen. In 2000, in the wake of the millennium, the 191 members nation of the United Nations, they adopted the Millennium Goals to eradicate poverty. Millennium Goals, we had 8 of them. Early child marriage directly hinders 6 out of those goals. It hinders the number 1 that says to end poverty and hunger. Girls who marry young do not receive the educational and economic opportunities that help them lift them and their families out of poverty. The second one, the universal education. Child brides are usually forced to drop out of school, as I mentioned, The education gap between girls and boys in the developing world is often greater where child marriage is common. Child brides, in terms of gender equality, child brides have little or no say in decision making in their marriage. They're not always an equal partner in those marriages. In terms of health, when the mother is under 18, her baby is 16% more likely to die in his first year of life than a baby born to a mother older than 19 years old. Maternal health. Girls under 15 are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than women in their 20s. Number 6, without doing anything. Because we believe this needs to be rooted out as a forum, that's why we've organized this conference today. But as participants here today, I would like you to join the conversation. We need to raise the awareness. Somebody mentioned this earlier. Not just among us women, but the men. Our men, we need to empower them to be able to be leaders for a change. We're talking about early child marriage. These young girls are getting married to older men. We need to be able to educate these older men about what they're doing, about the impact on the girls and on our societies. We need to empower young girls themselves to have self-esteem. We need to do this through mass media. I'm glad we got a newspaper publisher here today with us. We need to do this through community engagement, part of what we are doing today. We need to do this through youth leadership training. And more importantly, we can raise awareness of the consequences of early marriage and build cultural support for ending the practice. Let's engage our men to stand as human rights leaders and agents of change, helping to curate cultural norms and conditions that can support alternatives to early marriage. Let's join the conversation. Speak up in rejecting the practices of early marriage. Let us make children safeguarding. How do we do it? Speak to our policy makers, our politicians. Use the media and as academics and researchers, as doctors here, and other people who are contributing to other charitable organizations. Let us make this our business for our young girls. Thank you.
Have lunch.
Let's have lunch.
Go and have lunch, and then we can resume with questions. Yes?
Yes.
Make it a better place.
Kelly, Sienna.
I don't need you anymore. You used to mean the walk for me, the one I call when I'm in need. One I admire, the one and only lover. But lately you're driving me crazy with the way you treat me like a slave. if you like, you can take a hike. Cause I don't tire for your life. And I'll be fine without you in my life. Cause my chapter with you is over. So baby, what can't they go? What can't they go? What can't they go? What can't they go? Cause I don't need you anymore. Cause I don't need you anymore. What can't they go? What can't they go? What can't they go? What can't they go? Cause I don't need you anymore. Cause I don't need you anymore. My all is what I give to you. And tell me what did you do? You treated me just like a fool. So basically, I'm done with you. And like they say, you will never know exactly what you got until it's gone. So if you like, you can take a hike. Cause I